Welcome to Grampy's Lionel Trains. Santa showed up early this year. Instead of using the chimney, he used eBay shipping department. That's right, I bought this engine knowing it wasn't running, and it just arrived like Santa's surprise. Wrapped up tight and full of mystery. Let's open the box and see what kind of Christmas magic we've got. The previous owner told me that it didn't run when I bought it, so we've got a real Christmas challenge on our hands. Peeling back the bubble wrap, we'll get a good inspection and see what's going on with this engine. He did do a good job of packing, I can tell you that. Unfortunately, the pentagram assembly was missing. I'll have to check eBay to see if I can find one of those. We'll start by taking the front and back screws to remove the shell from the engine to see what's going on the inside. And looks like somebody put an electronic E-unit in this engine. Missing wire. I believe that went to the ground on the side of the motor. We have the original E-unit, the mechanical one. The wires are in decent shape. Checking everything else for loose wires. I think I'm just going to lose the electronic E-unit and go back to the manual one. It'll be a lot easier and just a test to make sure it's working. Removing the antenna wire. Next, I'll remove the brush plate to take a look at the brushes to see if we have any problems there. Loosening the two screws, and the brush plate should come right off. Like I said, right off. That needs a screwdriver, a little stiff. They don't look too bad, but it does look like somebody put the brush in upside down. Or they're not the right brushes. They look like they belong to a spring-loaded brush. Next, I'll snip the wires that go to the back and front lights. As I go, I'm also going to label everything in case I want to try to use this electronical E-unit on another engine. Taking a screwdriver and prying up the double face tape. Gonna have to desolder all the wires to the brush plate. I believe this electronic E-unit was around in the 90s. If anybody wants to leave in the comments if they know more about this, Lion Tech LCRU 0412. But next, I'm going to take the motor off the truck, check the gears, and they're pretty dirty. I'll make sure I give them a good cleaning. Taking this screw out so I can remove the top plate assembly to get to the trucks and the gears. They're pretty dirty. They don't look like they've been cleaned in a while. Using mineral spirits, my favorite, with a toothbrush and a brush and some dental tools, I'll give it a good thorough cleaning. You want to remove the drive gear and shaft, and also the nylon bushings to give them a good cleaning too. Cleaning up the drive gear shaft and the nylon bushings. To remove the armature and the motor housing, you want to take the retaining clip off and then slide out the armature. And I noticed that the thrust washer was missing to pack in the thrust bearings. There was only one on each side. You can also hit the mineral spirits with the brush plate too before you do the electronic cleaner on it. You want to make sure you clean out the face plate in between. Make sure there's no dirt in there. Spraying it with electronic cleaner to clean everything up thoroughly. Also the brush plate. Finishing up with the electronic cleaner on the brush plate with a Q-tip. It was pretty clean to begin with, but you just want to make sure there's no residue in there. Also with the E-unit, spraying the drum and the fingers. E-unit was in very good shape. Just going to need a light cleaning with the Q-tip. I like taking the Q-tip and soaking it in the electronics cleaner and going over the drum. Spinning the drum with the fluid, hopefully cleaning any debris off the fingers. You can see the groove in the armature bearing when you don't put a washer on the thrust bearing side. You have to put one washer on each side of the bearing so it won't leave a groove in the armature. Lubing up the shaft with some grease. And using the grease, you want to make sure you pack the thrust bearing on both sides. Get in between the grooves so when the ball bearings roll on the thrust washers, they roll nice and smooth. Taking the armature and sliding it back into the housing. You want to repeat the same process on the other side. A thrust washer, then the thrust bearing, and then the second thrust washer. And then you'll lock it up with the retaining clip. Spin in the armature to make sure it moves nice and smoothly and there's no friction. We'll finish up by putting the brushes back into the brush plate. Using gravity, flip the motor over and then slide it back together so the brushes don't fall out. I forgot to film the part where I oiled up the shaft between the two brushes on top of the plate. Just remember to give a little oil there. Just snug the screws up. You don't want to over tighten them. You don't want to strip them. Greasing up the drive gear. You want to put a good amount of grease on that. Also the shaft so it slides on the bushing easily. Putting the drive gear and shaft back into the truck. There's a little notch there on the bushings. You just slide it in and then roll the wheels back and forth and it'll just drop in. You just want to wet the gears with the grease. You don't want to put too much grease on because it will attract dirt on the tracks. Putting the screw back on for the top plate assembly. Don't forget to put the grounding spring on the motor. Dropping the motor over and sliding it back into the truck. Finish up by the screw to tighten it all together. I feel pretty confident that the original E-unit that this train came with is going to work. Soldering the 2 wires from the lamps and also the pickup roller to the side of the E-unit. Finished up soldering the wires to the brush plate from the E-unit. The yellow, the green, and the red. Normally is blue, but on this E-unit it came red. Finish up by putting it on the test track to see if Santa's early Christmas present works. And yes, it does. Forward and reverse. Thank you, Santa. Now that we know it works, we'll put the shell back on with the front screw and the back screw. Put it on the layout and do a few laps to make sure the engine's still running smoothly. Please leave in the comments why you think this person went with an electronic E-unit instead of the old manual type. If you have any information on it, please put it in the comments. I would appreciate it. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this video of me getting my early Christmas present from Santa Claus via eBay. And if you could, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Don't forget to put the notifications on for the next upcoming video from Grampy's Lionel Train. Happy railroading!